G'day, legends, and welcome to the Noodle by Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me is a full house. We've got Shane, Johnny, and Liam. How you going, Shane?
Yeah, doing well, thanks, mate. We had the Australia Day sort of long weekend here over the weekend just gone. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to chill out and get up to a bit of fun. So took the opportunity to head in to the soccer on Friday night, see Victory play Sydney FC, which ended 1-1 in the end, unfortunately. But the exciting part of the weekend was heading out to the new basketball centre on the other side of town and checking that out for the first time. And I love my hoops, and I've never been to the venue, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm definitely going to get out there more often.
He loves his hoops in two fronts, Celtic and basketball. There you go. Just like myself, mate. Happy days. How you going, Johnny? You looking all red-faced there. You were just telling us off there you just went for your first run since when?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, very red-faced. First jog since 2019. And I only know that as an absolute certainty because that was the last time I logged into the app. So I've got all the other jogs that I did in 2019. So yeah, no, just trying to get back into it. So it was a little bit harder than I would have liked, but did it. So that's the most important thing. Just got to keep doing it.
Just look at it this way, Johnny. You're doing better than everyone who hasn't been for a run this calendar year.
Well, this calendar year is only a couple of weeks, but yeah, I know. It's hard to start, but it's hopefully you can just once you start, you just keep going.
I've at least got an excuse from falling over and breaking a toe, but still.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
For the Monco, though.
What's my excuse for the past 5 years? Nothing.
You don't want to get sunburnt. There you go.
Yeah. Right.
How you doing, Liam?
Risk management. Yeah.
Good, mate. We had our local international festival yesterday, so I was doing the beat the goalie competitions. I'm a wee bit sore today. Managed to survive despite the fact there was a near diplomatic incident because somebody had the brilliant idea of putting Iran and Israel right next to each other. I am not joking. Although. Maybe it was actually secretly genius because they had the Iranian booth, they had the Israel one directly behind them. So, they didn't have to look at each other. So, Iran could just pretend Israel doesn't exist, which is kind of what they do anyway. So,
I think we'll rein you in there, Liam. So, down this tangent, and, the channel gets a bit of what almost dropped one there. It would have ruined it anyway. So, good fun. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. If you can hit the like button on the video, that'll help us in the YouTube algorithm. If you're watching through Twitter, X, whatever it's called, or on the Facebook pages, just share it around as much as you can. Just helps us grow Celtic Down Under and get us out to a wider audience. Craigie White in the comments. Hi, guys. What's happening at Paradise, please? I will definitely be touching on that. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
got a fair bit to talk about there, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting pod tonight. So, yeah, we'll just get on with it, and we'll start chatting about Celtic 1, Ross County 0. So, look, I'll tell you what happened for me. Didn't really I was struggling to stay awake, all things considered, long weekend and that. And so Shane said he went out to the basketball thing. John's done some exercise. Me and my wife, we were on the long weekend. We went out to see my dad. Then we were coming back, and on the side of the road, around 5 minutes from our house, there's like a little national park there. And I thought, oh yeah, we'll go for this walk. It says a 3-minute walk to the bottom. Yeah, but it's about 2 kilometers down. Great fun. So the worst part is you got to come back out of there. I absolutely killed my legs, and I was passed out on the couch. So yeah, didn't really see the game in entirety. I've seen the first half. And then I've watched the highlights and I've seen the second half, but I haven't actually seen it from start to finish. And from what everyone has said in our group chat and everything else, I didn't miss much. So I've got the most disjointed version of the game. So, Shane, what was your thoughts on the game? We'll start with the goal from AJ, and I'll go through the starting lineup off the back of that. So, what's your thought on the goal?
Oh, it's interesting. It was very early on. I hadn't even settled down into a rhythm yet. First minute, ball breaks kindly. Obviously, Bernabé whips the ball in. It's actually deflected. The cross he's trying to play is going nowhere near where it ends up. There's a shot, it's blocked, comes out to AJ, who gets a shot off. It's deflected in. It's really unfortunate in a way for County, and particularly their keeper, who I thought had a pretty decent game, all things considered. But it was a cracking start. And, you sort of thought, well, we might be on here. If you think back to St Mirren, I think we scored in the first minute against St Mirren, and we scored in the first minute against County. You're sort of looking, well, what can we do here? That was probably the only highlight for us for the first half, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much there. And got the starting lineup. So it was Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, Scales, and Bernabé in at left back with Taylor out injured. Midfield of O'Reilly, McGregor, and Bernardo. And then up front it was Kyogo with Palma and Abada. So it's pretty much our strongest team that we currently have available to us. And because, as Taylor, okay, so the question for you, John, was Taylor much of a miss with Bernabé in? Did you notice a difference there or not really?
Do you know what? No, I didn't. I didn't notice a huge difference. I think in retrospect, I know we kind of like floated the idea of going to a back three last week and stuff, and I think in retrospect, putting Barnaby in there just meant that there was the least change to the team. There was the least disruption to the flow of stuff, which kind of, I think, it was the right decision to make. And yeah, I guess we never really noticed a difference. Now, is that an endorsement of how Barnaby played, or is that a criticism of how Greg Taylor's been playing of late? I don't know if I could tell. I can't answer that, to be honest. It's probably somewhere between the two. But look, overall, just much like Shane, like the first half, I don't know if I can remember much, to be honest. There was some absolute huge misses that we had. Bernardo's being one of them. Should have absolutely buried that. And that, that much of that came from the left side. And as we were talking about before, Johnson's goal came from Barnaby. I think he was trying to whip it into the middle, and it gets deflected. And it's very fortunate that Johnson was there and stuff. So I think Barnaby had a good game, but we had at least an okay game and stuff. But I think overall, it's just such a forgettable game, forgettable first half.
Yeah, let's bring out some comments here. Robert Gibson saying, "Well, that bad, even Bernabé didn't look out of place." Mahesh is saying Bernabé got about, but he only made 6 passes in the final third in attack, about half of Greg Taylor's average. So Celtic missed Taylor. Thanks for that, Mahesh. Mahesh said Ross County won the touches in the high XG areas in the box, and Celtic 8-7. Penalties aside, Celtic could have easily dropped points.
Agree wholeheartedly with that.
So, Liam, I'm going to go to you off the back of this comment, because this looks like a perfect segue for your thoughts on the first half in particular. We're past the thing where, YouTube will, demonetize the video and everything, so we can go for it. So, Robert Gibson's summary. Game was shite. We have the penetration of a flaccid porn star. Liam, discuss.
Well, I thought we'd agreed that John was our resident porn star, but anyway. Look, I mean, he's right. He's right. It's the attack just wasn't there. The thing is, missed 2 penalties, but even if one of them had gone in, I think, did we create enough to win 2-0? I don't know if we did, to be honest. It's and the Bernabé thing, he was all right, but it's easy to look all right when the team is generally pish. So you can't really. I mean, I'm a defender of Greg Taylor. I don't think he's as bad a player as a lot of people seem to do, but I really don't think you can judge Bernabé at all based on in the same way as I say, don't slag off Taylor when the entire team are mince. Don't necessarily big up Bernabé when he has a good performance in a team that are not playing that well. I don't think either of them are the ultimate answer.
Yep, I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying there, Liam, because it's a perfect assessment for me. I'm looking at it going, we came down to Ross County's level on the weekend. They didn't raise their game to our level. And so what you're saying there about not having like Taylor, I think this system doesn't really suit Taylor, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of how he's played so far this season. Bernabé, from what I've seen, yeah, he did okay, but yeah, as you said, not going to big him up. So, yeah, spot on there.
Mm.
Craigie White's got a comment about it too. I'm so confused about Bernabé starting. He's not even on the bench. Then he starts. Brendan's at it. I wouldn't say Brendan's at it for one simple reason. Your other two left-back options, I don't want to hear the Scales play left-back talk. For me, that's no go. He's settled at our centre-back pairing. I don't want to, rob Peter to pay Paul or whatever it is and, move him to left-back and have to throw someone else in, whether it's a Lagerbalka or a Naroski or whatever, and just unbalance that centre-back pairing. So for me, the three options you got at left-back are Taylor, injured, Frame, injured, Bernabé. That's your only option. So that's pretty much what's going on there. What do we have here? We had a question from Mahesh, which was, where's Satade? Was he on the bench?
He's in Qatar.
Exactly. I was waiting for him.
Asian Cup. Japan play in the last 16. I think it's either tomorrow or the day after.
Got Bahrain, I think.
No, it should be quite sunny, actually.
Boo.
Ah,
I've got a sound effect for your bad jokes now, Liam.
What
God.
We didn't rehearse that, by the way.
No, we didn't. That was pure improv.
Loving it.
But no, to answer Mahesh's question, yes, the Asian Cup, Hatate and Maeda are both there. Not starting at the moment, so I kind of wonder why they're there at all.
Yeah, so we'll get on to the second half. We can talk about that a little later if you want. But second half, John, I'll go to you. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, second half was
Is that when they hit the crossbar?
yeah, squeaky bum time. I think that's the moment where we thought this is us dropping points. But if anything, we came through that with the skin of our teeth, sort of thing. Look, it's one of those. I don't really know how to assess it. I think we're all quite upset by the fact that it was such a bad performance over what, probably 83 minutes. When did we score? 7 minutes, something like that. So
First minute.
First
minute. It was scored in the first minute, yeah.
89 minutes. That was a fairly bad performance, right? We still got the 3 points. We still won the game. It could have been worse. I don't think we've dropped points since October, November, something like that. When did we lose or did we draw or something? Like it's been a while since we've not lost a game, let alone drop points, right? So I think it's one of those ones where we just expected so much more when from Ange's team. To be honest, we're still having this hangover from losing Ange and that type of football that we're so used to, and now we're seeing Brendan's type of football, and it's gone on for so long now. It's getting too much, and I think this is kind of like we're getting to that pressure point where we might not continue the lead that we've got in the league, and it can easily just fall through. And so I think it's one of these games where if we were to drop points in that game, it'd have been even worse. The fallout would have been worse. So I still think second half could have been worse. We didn't play well, but at the end of the day, we got the 3 points, and we've just got to expect better. We've just got to expect better.
Look, the whole thing about the Ange thing and Brendan and all that, we'll discuss a little later on the pod. So I'm going to put that one to the side for a minute there. But yeah, I think there's a bit of frustration in the fan base. And I was going to go with the Lewis Palma penalty stuff next, but we'll jump over that and we'll go to the boys being booed off the pitch at the end of the game. We'll discuss that because of the frustration that you're talking about. Like Alistair Johnson, like someone did one of those lip read things when they're talking and he's shaking some player's hand and goes, "What are they booing for? We won 1-0 or something like that." You scored a deflected goal in the first minute and then not much else for 90 minutes. And like we expect a lot better from our players, especially against Ross County, so at home. So it's the standards that we require as Celtic fans and our expectations. We don't accept absolute rubbish from the team. And if you have a bad game, yeah, we can understand there's a human element. Okay, sometimes you're out of form or you've got things going on or whatever. But at the end of the day, we expect better. The standards that are what is acceptable at Celtic as a player and as a club, and us as a fan base, what we expect is a lot higher than a lot of other clubs. So, yeah, there's a lot of uncomfortable things there. So I was going to quote Brendan's, but I managed to download it here so we can listen to his post-match press conference thing, the comment he made about the booing, and then we can discuss it off the back of that. And then we'll get into our player focus. So Brendan's quotes post-game.
I've had that since I've been here. It's not the result, it's me. It's me, the board. So all we can do as a team is win games and try to improve and develop and win. And that's what the team have done. So the team and ourselves, the staff, we work very hard every day. So we're very much together. And that's how we'll continue to be. And if it falls below the expectation, then we'll do everything we can to be better.
My thoughts on that, I've got 3 different takes, and then we'll just go around the room on it. First thing is, where's the fire in the belly from Brendan? He kind of sounds defeated to me when you hear him in the press conferences this season. He hasn't had that same. If that was his first run at the club, someone said something, he'd just be all agitated, get his back up, and he'd just be like snapping at people. And to me, he seemed a little like happy to just be a punching bag. Like that there sounded a bit defeatist to me in terms of, oh, yeah, blah, 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 just the way he was talking it off. The second thing, though, is he right? Like it's either, if it's not the result, it's him. If it's not him, it's the board. Is he right on that front? Because I'll say from my point of view, I've been hard on him. The result didn't go our way. I've been hard on him. I don't like the style of football we're playing. It doesn't suit our players. And if it's not him, it's the board. Yeah, we're not getting the players in. He's been talking about quality all season, and we're not getting these guys in. So maybe he's right on that front. But at the same time, the third thing is he really going to, after what happened previously, is that really going to end well for him having to go at the fan base? That's the 3 thoughts that pop into my head when I hear that. So, Liam, I'll go to you first, then we'll go to you, Johnny, for your thoughts on it, and then we'll finish with you, Shane.
Right. Right off the top, first of all, Brendan Rodgers is wrong. Saying all we can do is win. No. Sorry, you're Celtic manager. You have to win and win with style and play good football. It is not just about the result. It is also about the performance, and that performance was dross. So saying all we can do is win, no, that's not all you can do. It's also your responsibility to put an entertaining spectacle on for the tens of thousands of people who pay money, often who struggle to afford that money, to go and watch the team. And you owe them a bit more respect than to be as dismissive as that with your comments. And, if it's not me, it's the board. If it's not the board, yeah, it's you and it's the board, right? Fans are not happy with your style of play. We're not happy with the board's inability to get in players that either fit your system or for you to adapt your system to suit the players we currently have. So, yeah, unhappy with the performance. That's on the team. Unhappy with the way the manager is currently doing things. That's on him. And unhappy with the board because they're a shower of greedy bastards. The case rests.
Ronnie?
Yeah, look, I agree to an extent with Liam, and I'd like to expand on a bit of it. It is the way that we play, and I think the reason why it's the way that we play is, for me personally, if we play poorly, even if we win, to me that shows, again, look, with no disrespect, especially against a team like Ross County, it shows that we are even further from the European success we're all craving. We just want some form of European. Most of us aren't even asking for a bloody trophy at the moment. We just want to actually see us through a knockout stage. You know what I mean? Like it's at that point where we just want to get to the next stage of the competition. So, and I think when we play so bad against teams like Ross County and we show complete lethargy and just no, there's no attacking impetus. There's nothing. It's just kind of going through the motions, and it irritates the hell of us. I think, and you're absolutely right. It's the tactics that are wrong. So that's on the manager, and the board aren't getting their finger out and getting the players the quality we need. I think to an extent, though, that he's not wrong in saying that that all we can do is win, right? In the sense that this would be a whole lot worse if we lost. In his mind, he's like, well, look, my tactics to an extent worked because we won the game. So do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think he can say. I think he even said it. Like all we can do is develop. Was an admission that that's not the level that he wants. And I think if we were to look back at some of Rodgers' previous seasons at Celtic, if this was like the 69 unbeaten run and we won 1-0, we'd all be like, at least we won. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be like, oh, that wasn't the best game, but we're streak's still on, sort of thing. So I think a lot of it's context. I think most of this is context actually. But I think a lot of us we're not fools, right? We're not idiots. We can kind of see where the problems are. And if we can see them, surely to God, the board and the manager must be abundantly aware of them. And if they're not, nobody's right in that building. Like it's just not the right people. If they can't see what we can see, then they got to go. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm not sure how I feel about the comments, but not great I definitely agree with like the boredom stuff. It was a very dismissive comment.
Before you go, Shane, I'm just going to jump on something you said, Johnny, where you've gone from Ange and, back to where we are now and everything, and it's the style of play. Yeah, it's like we've gone from being, what's the nicest way to put it? We've basically gone from being, a meth head to being a rasta smoking weed, with the performance. There you go. That's an interesting one for you. But you're all like amped up psycho, running headfirst into walls, whatever. So just sitting around, puff, pass, whatever, get on with it. That's pretty much what it's like. We just look so. I thought I wanted to get Liam's action to that stupid analogy. But yeah, it just seems really ridiculous, like the way we're going about it. I'll bring up
the irony is in Japan, both of those would equally end you up in the jail for several years.
So yeah, we've got here. So Robert Gibson, Brendan sounds like he's bored off his tits with it all. Craigie White was rumours flying about Brendan's having emergency talks with either Dermot Desmond on the brink of walking away Mark II. Yeah, we've pretty much everyone's seen that WhatsApp chat or Twitter thing or whatever. Ali's saying clearly Brendan's a cheerleader for the Lorwell puppet family. It's also saying Brendan's chucked it. And it smells of 2019 when he chucked it. He can't get the players motivated. Shane, what's your thoughts? I'll let you finish this topic off.
I think Johnny actually hit the nail on the head at the end when he called it a very dismissive comment, and it really was. It was a very dismissive way of Brendan to tackle that question that was posed. And when you're talking about fan reaction and fan discontent at the end of the game that you've won 1-0, I don't think you can really be dismissive of that. I think you have to answer that in a different way and take on board fans' concerns and frustrations, and to Liam's earlier point, it's not just about winning. Winning doesn't cover all bases here. It's winning and winning with style. The chant is everywhere we go, watching Glasgow Celtic putting on a show. Well, we're not doing that. It was a really dire performance against County, and save for a lack of quality that County had, they easily could have gone in at halftime on parity. They could have jagged a late equaliser at the end. Like, we, in some respects, escaped with a 1-0 victory in that game. Now, I don't agree with the booing personally. I don't like it, and it's not something I do. But at the same time, I'm getting up to watch it on TV. I'm not spending my hard-earned to travel many, many miles or kilometers to go and attend. I'm not going across the water to attend and getting up at ridiculous hours to do so. So I think people who invest their hard-earned into the club and are used to this club putting on a show and playing with a certain style and pizzazz have the right to be frustrated. And I was disappointed in the dismissiveness in the way, or the dismissiveness of Brendan's handling of that question.
Yep, 100%. So what I'll do is we'll go to our player focus, then we'll have some last minute comments to finish this off, the game talk. So for me, the one player I wanted to discuss more than anything was Kyogo. He's getting absolutely no service. He's looking frustrated to me. His body language is just not at the levels it was. to the point that he's getting on a TikTok and, doing silly stuff on there now. We don't need, like, I want Kyogo playing football and getting the ball and doing stuff. I'm sick of this, like, him having to drop so deep to get on the ball and then, running into three defenders every time he tries to make a run. So, it's just frustrating. And Macaroon has just pretty much agreed. Morning, Drongos. Legend. Love it. So concerned watching it at the weekend. Really poor from Brendan. Wrong selection, wrong sub. Style of play doesn't suit Kyogo, which is criminal.
Yeah.
Spot on with what I was just saying. Like I feel frustrated for Kyogo because we know the level of talent he is and the type of player he is, and he gives his heart and soul and everything when he's playing. And he just doesn't look like himself this year because of the role doesn't suit him. So that's the one player I wanted to focus on. Shane, you got a player you want to focus on from the game?
I think, and we've talked about this before, there's two things I want to bring up, and I wanted to focus on Calmac because I thought Calmac was relatively under par in comparison to usual. And I think it goes to emphasize that when teams actually put a lot of time and effort into stopping Calmac being that distributor and getting on the ball and controlling the game, that we lose a lot of the impetus. And I felt County did a really good job of minimizing the kind of impact that he normally has. I felt that he didn't exert his usual influence. Now, that being said, he's not alone, right? A lot of players on the pitch really didn't perform very well on the weekend. There's probably only 2 or 3 pass marks, in my opinion. The other one I wanted to focus on was O'Reilly, who picked up a knock quite early and just did not look himself after he sort of came off for a bit of a after that little tweak and sort of got a bit of treatment. He just didn't look himself. His movements looked laboured. He just didn't look like he was up to speed with everything. I struggled to work out why Brendan didn't make the move earlier to actually bring him off. In fact, I don't think he brought him off in the end. I think he subbed Bernardo off for Turnbull, which, like, for such a key asset, I would have been very hesitant to risk O'Reilly playing out the rest of that match. I would have brought home on and moved Bernardo across. I was very surprised that he continued. Now, maybe O'Reilly said, look, I'm fine, I'll continue. But from my perspective, he didn't look the same. And I thought that was his most ineffective performance probably all season. And it just struck me as odd that Brendan didn't do anything about it, considering we've got Holmes sitting there waiting to go. So they're the two things that I wanted to comment on.
Johnny?
I thought you were doing that trick on me again. Moving your lips.
Your lips.
Look, we've talked about the players that I thought we needed to talk about. I know we're going to talk about Palma, so I'll not talk about him. But for me, what's happening to Kyogo is, I can't remember who commented it, but it is generally criminal. We know what type of asset he is, and we are completely wasting the talent by implementing the style of football that we've got. It's a complete waste. In fact, not only is it a waste for him as a professional, it's a waste for Celtic because it means that his value is going to go down because he's not going to be performing as well. So we're not going to be able to get the type of money we could have gotten him at any point. It really is genuinely frustrating. We're playing him like a target man. Do you know what it is? We're playing him like Moussa Dembele, the big strong type of striker that can hold a defender up and turn and get a goal and sort of thing. And he's not that type of player. He wants to be facing the goal and he wants to run at the goal, and he doesn't get that opportunity. Not much, really. And the service that he's getting, and for his, because he loves a tap in and stuff. He's getting none of it. He's getting nowhere near what he used to get. We don't play the conventional wide wingers anymore. All our wingers cut in now. It's just not what I want to see. And so yeah, I guess I can only imagine how frustrated he is, and he's so frustrated that he's ended up on TikTok, as you said, Jared. But yeah, I don't know. We've got to change something, I think.
Now, Liam, if you want to also join us in the Kyogo thing, just rant in Japanese on the podcast, that would be hilarious. Otherwise, over to you for any other play you want to focus on.
I was just going to say, Kyogo's wasting his time on TikTok. Pornhub is available in Japanese. I'm just going to say that. I've heard it's available in Japanese. I don't, there are better ways to spend your time online than on that bloody TikTok. Anyway,
Who's the snitch saying both Bucky and Ross County turned up? We were still in bed, and then 2 minutes later, Liam's talking about the hub. Like, come on now, I'm a little bit worried.
Oh dear. Yeah. No, look, Kyogo is being made to look like a very poor player at the moment, and we know he isn't, and that's really, really on the manager and how the system is. With Abada, you've got one of the best wingers we've had in years. When Maeda is played on the left as he should be, that's a great option for us as well. He's probably the fastest winger we've had in a long time. It'd be interesting to have a run actually between Maeda and Didier Agat both at their peak. Like who was actually faster? I'd be genuinely curious. But it's just not working right now. And Kyogo is the one who's suffering the most. But there are several players in that team who are not playing to their best, and it's because they're not being allowed to.
Yep, 100%. So what we'll do before we get into the Palma thing is Robert Gibson's comment before the start of the pod was Poundland Palma penalty taking Plonker. Okay, so look, Palma penalty has to retake it, does the exact same shot, saved. We've all seen what happened, right? And the thing was, there was a stat that I was reading, and Turnbull has taken 4 penalties for us this season for a 50% success rate. Palmer has taken 6 penalties for us, 50% success rate. And then there was one other guy, I can't remember who it was, who's taken 2 for a 50% success rate. We, as a team, I think they're saying we're hitting 55% of our 50% or 55% of our penalties for the whole season. So it's like we're getting one every game like De Hunza, but we're it's just not good enough. Like, yeah, something's got to be done about our penalty taking. And this wonky walk up crap that Palmer's doing just annoys the living shit out of me. Doesn't even look like he knows when he's going to strike the ball half the time. So frustrates me big time. Just step up, whack it, get on with it. Anyone got anything they want to add? I'll go. Mark McDonald's comments: Palmer looks more no balls than dead ball expert. Bit harsh, but I'll give you the.
I think there was there's a penalty that I can think of, and I feel like it was a cup final when a Cham did that, and he scored it where he took the penalty. I think he either missed the first one or the keeper came off his line, and he went up and got another one and scored. Did the exact same thing and scored the second one. So I think it's one of those ones where we only notice it, we only talk about it because he missed 2 of them. If he scores a second, it's not a conversation. Do you know what I mean? If that second one goes in and he hits it the exact same way, we're not having this conversation. It's because he missed it, and I think it's just young. I don't know. I must have missed something because I'm not quite sure. I get the Palmer bashing, generally speaking, not here, but like in the wider fan base. It's guy's not been around long. We were singing his praises a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden get out of my club sort of thing. It's just a bit of a weird one. It's just
that's over the top.
I'm still in the camp, which is I think he's a good player. I think he's got a lot of development to go, but I think if we just invest in him, that will be he'll be big for Celtic. He generally could be big. I don't get the bashing personally, and scores plenty. He's fine. If somebody comments something funny,
Shane's having an absolute chuckle in the comments because of who's the snitch, Mr. Pens and Biden, Mr. Stairs.
And just for balance, I'll say it also misses more than Trump misses syllables. Just to balance it out, right?
I saw it pop up and I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, for me, Palmer's a good player. I just think at the end of the day, it's people are now, we've had him for half a season. They're starting to compare him a bit more to what we had and not what we've got. I think that's his biggest issue. Who was the striker that we signed to take over Larson's spot? Who would that have been back in the day?
Sharapsky, maybe? Or was that a wee bit later?
I can't remember, but all I know is that person, no matter what they did, they're no king of kings.
Yeah.
And you've got Jota on the wing who had a song about it and everything. And now it doesn't matter who you're bringing in. Palma is now going to get compared to him. He's on a hiding to nothing. If he doesn't play well, if his performance is down 2 or 3% off his best and he misplaces a couple of passes or misses a penalty or two like that, what happens? You're suddenly like, you're on a hiding and nothing. Thanks, Strangelove. There it is. I think it was Ian Wright.
Yeah. Surely not to replace Larson, but
Yeah,
No,
it was
they-
Larson anyway.
Oh yeah, Wright came in when Larson got injured. So
Yeah.
aye, that's right.
I think the commentary about Palma, I'll touch on this first, is definitely harsh. I was just getting his stats up on the screen now. I remember looking at them a few weeks ago, and he's actually been a pretty solid contributor. So, overall, 24 appearances for Celtic, 8 goals, which is a pretty decent return. In the Premiership, 5 goals, 9 assists from 15 starts and 18 matches. That's not bad, really. Those are pretty decent figures. And I think he is a quality player, and I definitely think there's a lot of upside. I'm frustrated by his penalty taking exploits, and there are some times where I think he jags inside a bit too much and gives the impression he's a one-trick pony. I don't know how much of that is necessarily him or down to the direction from the manager and coaching staff. Let's keep that in mind as well. But I'm definitely excited by what I've seen for him, and I think he'll be a star going forward. I wouldn't be getting rid of him or thinking that he's, a player that's not going to make the grade. I think he's actually had a really decent season, all things considered. So, yeah, some recency bias and obviously the comparisons to Jota. But I was going to say on the penalties really quickly that I share your frustrations, particularly about the run-up. I don't know about you, but like if you miss a penalty, it's frustrating, but it's so much more frustrating if you kind of do this stupid crap run-up or try and place it carefully or try and second-guess the keeper or put him in 2 minds. Just run up, put your laces through the fucking thing and bury it. And if you don't bury it, okay, good save then. Doesn't matter. But just actually try and put your foot through it. Stop trying to place it. Stop trying to play cute. Take the penalty. We're at the point now where I think we need Calmac to step up and take the penalties. Need some leadership. Put the ball down on the spot. I'll do it. I'll score it. If I miss, no biggie. I'm the captain. I'll take the responsibility for it. What was the figure?
You meant you'd take them.
Oh, look, I'll take them. Oh, I don't mind. I'll go over. I'll sit there. I don't think I can kick it far enough, but I'll take them. But what did you say, Jared? It's 50% conversion rate from penalties this season or something to that effect?
Our last 10 has been at 50%.
We don't get many of them. We need to be putting them away, right? So let's sort this out. But no, I very frustrating penalty. Insanity is, what do they say insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. He did pretty much a carbon copy of the first penalty a second time. And guess what? The keeper saw it coming.
Okay, I'm just going to clarify a few things in the comments quickly. So we brought up Ian Wright before. Kamara actually was the proper replacement when he moved on to Barcelona. Ian Wright was the replacement when he got injured, broke his leg. So we've covered both of them. So where Fed Cock and Balls are saying, what Celtic do you watch last was replaced by Kamara, Ian Wright was for when he was injured. And that's absolute belter of a name. So that's why.
Yes.
I ain't gonna rip him, man.
Now, something you said, Shane, about going the same penalty. Anyone in the comments who watched the A-League, there's a player was the all-time leading goal scorer in the league, Besart Berisha, and he did I think it was 20 penalties straight, all right-hand side to the exact same spot, and it took him to the 21st one for someone to realise what he was doing and stop it. So players will go to where they're comfortable and just take the shot. No, I'm going to get this in. So I can understand what he's doing. But what it is with Palmer as well at the moment is, I'm going to say it for me, it's, good point, Andrew. Viduka scored all the goals, but we did bring in Wright as his replacement. So that's what I was talking about. You come in to replace that player. That's what we're talking about. So, I've lost my point, my chain of thought now. Anyway.
I'll just to jump in, I think to forward Shane's point, it's even more of a worrying stat when we can only score 50% when the rules change to make it even more favourable to the person taking the penalty. So like the fact that the keepers now are going to get penalised if they come off their line with VAR and all that stuff. It should be a case of it's so skewed in the favour for the person who gets the penalty. It's almost a goal given. That 50% is just really not good. It's really not good.
And you can't do the grey wiggle anymore. You know the
Yeah,
that
no,
thing? Yeah.
no. You have to stay. Yeah, you have to stay.
You have to
still.
be you have to be watching the YouTube to see what I'm doing. By the way.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know, but we've had a problem with let's not even be around the bush. It's set pieces in general. We've had a set piece problem for 5 years, maybe more. Corners aren't very good, free kicks aren't great, penalties aren't great. God, even throw-ins are so repetitive. It's got to be a fullback, and it's got to be towards one of the wingers or that particularly sided midfielder. It's the same repetitive thing. It's all set pieces.
Yeah, 100%.
The other thing about Palma, just to kind of round it up, setting the penalty thing aside, I kind of, again, bit of personal bias here, but I'm annoyed at the fact that he's come in and done reasonably well, but I think it's also completely ruined Maeda as a player, because putting him out on the right is just a complete waste of a jersey half the time. And, again, it's like, do you really, Palma's, like I said, I think he's a decent player. Is he good enough to put Maeda out of position to accommodate? I don't think so. I would rather have Maeda down the left and Abada down the right and try and fit Palma in somewhere else, because I think that's our strongest wing pairing. But again, that's assuming that wingers are going to be allowed to play the way they should, and they're not under the current system.
Yeah.
While we're speaking about Jota, he's going to West Ham. It's just been announced.
Oh.
It's not a terrible move for him, to be fair.
Go play for Davey Moyes. There you go. It was just announced right then. So there we go.
Yep. So we will get a little bit of a cash flow from that as well, I imagine.
Don't know if it's a loan or not. I didn't read the article, but yeah, I know he's just going there. So see what happens. I think we'll move on from that talk about the game and Palmer and all that. I'll just quickly crack on to a couple other topics which could go on some tangents here. So Cameron Carter-Vickers signs a new 5.5-year deal at Celtic. I'm absolutely ecstatic that he's committed his prime years to the club. What is he, like 25, 26 now? 5 years of prime as a defender is 28 through to 30. So, yeah, we'll get him here for quite a few years still to come. So I'm absolutely happy. Anyone got a different viewpoint on that?
Absolutely not. It's brilliant. There was a bit of a worry that he'd move on in this window, and I think that's pretty much been put to rest, I would say. I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question, but maybe put to rest for this window at least.
Protecting arguably our best asset. I think it's a good bit of business.
Yeah, but I do not want any board apologists to come out with it's like a new signing pish, because it isn't. Okay, I'm delighted he's staying, but please, let's not hear that. Okay.
If you're going to say that in the comments, please just leave the chat, honestly. Just put yourself in timeout for 5 minutes and then come back. We appreciate you.
Yes. Yeah.
So, want to ask you boys, okay, we touched on it earlier, is Rodgers being too rigid with the patient build-up style of play? And should he be allowing our attacking players to be more creative, have more creative freedom and express themselves in attack and play their way into games? The reason I'm asking that is everyone's talking about that online and everything as well, about the style of play. We should go to a back three. We should have two strikers. All the couch experts.
There it is. There it is.
Robert.
Red card for you, son.
Use it in timeout. Yeah, you'll be back in 5 minutes, Robert. There you go. You're in the naughty corner, mate. But I'm just there was an article saying that from the CIES Football Observatory, Celtic have the highest percent of ball possession out of the 54 top leagues worldwide. So the Hoops come on top with an average of 66.8% possession on an average per match. So this is where we've been talking about. The Ange ball was a lot more go, 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 go. if you lose it, don't worry, win it back. And then you've got Rodgers' style. This is where I say it doesn't really suit the players we have, where, you know, they just sit back and, you know, pass ball, recycle it, and it's so slow and ponderous and annoying to watch, basically. Like, you get up at 2 a.m. to watch your game and you fall asleep 15 minutes later and miss half the game over here for that reason. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I just wanted to get you boys' opinion. Is he too rigid? What changes do we need? We'll go to you first, Liam.
We just need more dynamic flexibility. Just let players play the way they like to play, right? It's kind of like, right, I'm going to use an extreme example here, but it is like a Japanese business meeting, right? You sit there, everybody says their piece, and then there's like this consensus and everyone just does the same thing. There is very little creativity. There's very little room for individualism. I'm watching Celtic right now. It is like a corporate Japanese business meeting because everything's done by process, and this is, you know, we've got this system and we have to do it this way. We're not going to change it. There's no room for individual flair. There is no room for anybody going off script. And I'm sorry, but most of Kyogo's goals in the last 2 years have come from going off script, right? Doing the unpredictable, the unexpected. And one of the reasons why we are so flat this season is because everybody knows and expects exactly what we're going to do. You know, the win against Rangers at New Year could be argued came about because for once we did not play the way that everyone expected us to. That was the most free-flowing we've been all season, and it got us a result.
Yep, it's like with Rodgers' second season. Everyone had him worked out as well up here. Like, we struggled against Hearts. We struggled against a bunch of other clubs who started to figure out. The only one who didn't figure him out was Derek McInnes.
To be fair, he's still working on joined up writing, so give him his due.
Shane, what are your thoughts on you know, what I was saying about are we too rigid with how we're playing?
Yeah, he is. He is too rigid. There needs to be more attacking flair. There needs to be more attacking impetus. We just look really flat at times. We look far too pragmatic, far too patient. We look like we are waiting for the moment to arrive, whereas under Ange, we used to make it happen. We would probe and make things happen and generate those attacks and keep asking questions and forcing defenders to defend. I feel like now we're waiting for them to make a mistake a lot of the time. I mean, if we want to get specific tactically, one of the big things that's disappeared under Rodgers is width to our attacks. We have very little width to our attacks anymore. Everything is just get the ball and cut inside. And you look on the weekend, the wingers get the ball and they're encouraged to cut inside. And you're cutting it inside to where it's condensed, where defenders are already there, where the midfield sag back, where you've already got 2 number 8s as well. You need some special players to pick holes in those locks, right? So I don't like that. Under Ange, we moved the ball a lot better. We were a lot quicker. There were width to our attacks, and you'd have the fullbacks inverting, but you still had your wingers on the outside, still trying to get to the byline. And the pace of that attack, or the lack thereof, is exactly why Kyogo's struggling. He benefited so much from an Ange-based team where we were shifting the ball quickly. He didn't have to fight between 2 big centre halves. He was able to play off the shoulder and use his pace and use his nous to get into space and in behind. He doesn't have that space anymore. I guess the thing, and I thought about this a little bit today, and I we can't rewrite history. Ange Ball and Ange himself, he didn't really prosper when playing against a low block team. No one really does, to be honest. Anyone who sits back in a low block, it's really difficult to break them down. But under Ange, I don't think that the teams we played could ever say that they felt comfortable. We were always at them. We were always trying to make things happen. We were always forcing them to defend. I feel like there is a level of comfortableness that teams come and sit back against this Brendan Rodgers managed team, knowing that as long as they, stick to their, banks of 4, that the Celtic are just going to keep trying the same thing and just wait patiently. And if they can outweight us, that they can jag a point or even 3 points. Under Ange, they never had a moment's rest. They had to constantly be on guard. And there's that level of comfortableness that I think teams have now this season against us, which is a real concern.
I'm just going to go through some comments here quickly. So Andrew was saying, under Andrew, practice attacking patterns. Everyone could see it. No one could stop it. And then you had Strange Love was saying, we played well in the last 5 games before the break. Very Ange. Michael Ross was saying, loved Ange, but he's gone. RL77's taking the piss here. So Brendan Rodgers, you'll be surprised how long I'm here.
I won't, but a lot of others will.
But we low block after low block after low block does get frustrating after a time, though. Yeah. So the thing is, like, the only reason we keep talking about Ange is it's not that because we're Australian or anything like that. It's because, as we said earlier, it's like when we're talking about the comparison for Palma to Jota, you don't want to harp on with it, but that's what we had last season. So we get on with it and we have a bit of a laugh and we try and figure out the best way to do it. So, Michael Ross, I agree with you 100%.
Yep, same here.
But the biggest problem was that Rodgers, just for the comment saying I never wanted Rodgers back, Rodgers was the best option we had at that point. I never saw a single name, seriously, I never saw a single name that would have gone, oh yeah, that's the continuation of Ange. That's a good, I'll take a punt on them because I can see that as, what was it, nuts and whatever. Like, yeah, like, that's at least in the right sort of direction. Ange is just, and Rodgers was just never what you'd. Oh, you've tried.
I just put on a good accent plunge.
Rodgers was just the best of a poor bunch, I think.
As I said, John, when he was appointed, like, he wasn't my pick, but he was probably the best candidate we could have actually got in terms of resume and CV and all that sort of stuff. I would have loved for Gallardo from Argentina, or I would have loved for Knudsen, one of those sort of guys I thought would have been great. But
Kevin Muscat.
Even, I don't know about that, but anyway.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he continued Ange's style at Yokohama. He would have been the continuity candidate,
He did it at Melbourne Victory before that as well, so it would have been the third time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I just think at the end of the day, it's just how it's all playing out. It's just not ideal, but we'll figure that out.
I genuinely don't understand the point of possession football if it doesn't have a desired outcome. If you know what I mean. There's no point in holding the ball for 70%, 80% of the game if it doesn't eventuate into scoring goals and lots of goals. If we hold possession to the point where the other team's just never got a sniff of it, like there's no chance of ever scoring them because we're just so dominant. But that's not the type of games that we're watching recently. It's games that we win, sure, but we've got a lot of the possession. We don't do a hell of a lot with it, and other teams are still scoring, and that's the worst outcome of possession football. So I'm not sure I get that part. And then also for me, we're never going to get the possession that we get in Europe. And I know I always hark on about Europe, but I think that needs to be the yardstick, right? So if we go into Europe thinking that we're going to play games where we get 80% possession, we're delusional. We're going to get maybe 45% of possession when we go up against teams like the Atleticos and the Valencias and the Leipzigs and all that sort of stuff. We're not going to dominate possession in those games. So we need to be able to learn to make chances where we don't have possession, which Ange did really, really well. We would lose the ball in our final third, and we would immediately attack that player to get the ball back, and then hopefully that would result in an opportunity or a goal. We don't do that. It's not in our game to do that anymore. Sorry, that's me. You go ahead, James.
No, you're right. Can't argue any of that.
This is where I'm a little bit worried about. Was it Nicholas Kuhn who's just come on board, who got his debut for Celtic at the weekend? He got put out onto the left, which is when I'd been sort of checking out his sort of past history, he seemed to play well on the left and skin opponents pretty well there, and he did that almost on his first sort of possession. As soon as he got on the pitch, he skinned James Brown, and put a ball in across the box. It was pretty decent. And then, like, literally within the next couple of minutes, Rodgers brought Johnson on and switch the wingers. I was like, but why? He looks like he might have a little bit of rhythm down this side. Just perplexing.
Yep.
James Brown was playing for Ross County. I thought he was living in America.
There
sorry.
we go.
We didn't rehearse that one either.
No, we definitely didn't.
Oh, okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll just leave that topic there, but it's definitely a place for discussion, not the James Brown stuff, the whole scoring the play. We'll chat about that a bit more later on after the window and everything. So we'll just quickly do a little wrap and the latest transfer news floating around and everything. Try not to be on for too much more, but before we do that, is it John Clements? Just to make it clear in my brain, the podcast is from Down Under. I watched the video upside down. The video, not me. I'd hoped the video upside down, mate, and not you hanging from a tree or something, because that would be a little bit awkward, mate. So, yeah, appreciate it.
It's a good thing that's not true, though, because everybody knows that I do this podcast naked from the waist down. That's well documented, right? That's on record.
He's got his mate Pedro under the desk, too.
You got to be careful with those swords, mate.
That's not a sword. This is a sword.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, which sword am I talking about?
Where's Pedro these days? I've not heard him in ages.
But then he'll come back as executive chairman of Celtic. Was that? Oh, that's a different Pedro, isn't it? Oh, you're right.
All right. So, yeah, we'll just go through the transfer stuff. So, Yuki Kobayashi has been linked with possible move to the MLS, with Real Salt Lake and FC Dallas expressing interest in him. He also got Gustav Lagerbielke is rumoured to be a lone target for Lecce in Italy. However, Lecce would require Celtic to pay a fair chunk of his wages. So that could clear up. I reckon one of those two will go. I don't think both would go, all things considered. Then you've got the other rumours of Sidney Van Hooijdonk was held out of Bologna's game on the weekend, and during the coverage they said he was on his way to Celtic on loan for the rest of the season. That could be another potential striking option for us. So we'll see how that all plays out. Another one is Celtic are also being linked with FC20 left back. I don't have the slightest clue how to say it. Gijs. So probably Jizz Small. There you go. Well, Jizz.
Oh, dear. We're back to Pedro again, aren't we?
Yep. So apparently he's a 6 foot left back, 26 years old. He's out of contract at the end of the season. So he could be signed for this transfer window for approximately $2 million to get him in now. So he's played about 170 first team games. So wanted to come straight in and challenge Greg Taylor for that position. So with those being rattled off there, and with 3 days left in the transfer window, do you think any of those previously mentioned moves will happen, Johnny?
Look, I don't know, to be honest. I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really take much. I don't have much weight in transfer rumors, to be honest. I don't think the Sidney Van Hooijdonk thing is going to happen. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if that's done, to be honest. It's what we've got 2 days, 3 days. I think that's us. I don't think we'll sign. We might have one shock loan that nobody considered, but I don't think anybody's going, and I don't think we're getting anyone else in.
I mean, the deal for this Jizz fella might come through, you know.
Oh, no. No.
What? I'm just saying, you know.
Macaroon, I'd rather Jizz more than Cummings.
God.
God.
This is out of control.
Ooh.
That's brilliant. This is the stuff should normally be behind the paywall. If we had a Patreon paywall, this is where that comment would be.
All I'll say is I hope no, because the wife's making me salmon for dinner tonight. Anyway.
Yeah, so I'll try and get this back on track.
Try.
So, what's getting you most frustrated this transfer window? The lack of urgency, the lack of signings, or a combination of both?
Yeah.
For me, it's the lack of urgency. Like, we've known the transfer window was opening start of January. We knew we had to get players out probably before we could get people in, and there's been one signing, and it's not at any of the three positions that was the main priority. So,
Excuse me, sorry.
oh, geez, these
Sorry.
comments are off the head. It's great. Shane,
Anyway.
so what is it for you out of those?
It's the lack of urgency. I think there's some key areas that we've needed improvement in, even, on the very early part of the season. And I don't know if everyone's the same, but I was hoping once we got to January, we'd be able to get some important decisions made. And that hasn't happened and doesn't look like it's going to happen. And, I don't think we've cleared out a lot of players either. There was talk about wanting to trim the squad down. We haven't really done that either in this window, to be honest. I don't see a lot of the moves. Like, I think maybe Kobayashi goes. So, that's one. I'm sure there were a few others that were meant to depart as well that are going to be around for another window, right? So, it's the mixture of urgency, but also if we're talking about squad trimming, that hasn't happened either. So no activity.
Johnny, Liam, either of you two?
I wholeheartedly agree. It's the lack of urgency, to be honest. It's we never used to do this before of recent times. We would have all of our business done in the first couple of weeks, maybe the first week of a transfer window. And then it was all the speculation for the rest, whether we'd get anybody else in. But we never did. It was always get the business side sorted and then focus on the football. And I truly don't understand why we moved away from that model. It's baffling.
Yeah, the thing is, even if you're purely a money guy, it doesn't make sense. Because the amount of deadwood we've got clogging up the wage bill at the moment. Even if we don't have the if we don't have the players coming in, we should have plenty going out. And we don't. It just speaks to an entire system that isn't working. We're not urgent enough. We've known what the deficiencies are in the team pretty much from about September onwards. Some would argue from August, because we didn't get who we wanted to get in the last transfer window either. And then moving on, we knew we needed a left back. We knew we needed another goalkeeper to challenge Joe Hart. We know that we probably need a striker. And what have we got so far? A winger. It's just it's not making sense. It's not. Anybody who wants to defend this policy, I'm genuinely interested. Please come out and tell me how is this working? If you think everything's fine, how is this working? Because I just do not see how this is good for Celtic, either on the park or commercially.
Yep, 100%. We've got a comment here from Andrew saying it's obvious Ange sat with Mark Lawwell and scouted players. Rodgers seems to be leaving him to it. And that's something that, some of the rumours you see floating around and everything as well. Some of the things that you're getting is apparently our recruitment isn't based on data. It's based on agents' recommendations, and Brendan's knocking them all back. There's been multiple lists.
Sorry, what you said is there's a rumor that our signs aren't based on data. They're based on our network connections.
Yep. This is different things that we've seen. I've seen in different WhatsApp groups that I'm in, seen on Twitter. This is a collection of things, right, that I've seen all over the place. Now, I don't know who the in-the-know agents are reporting this, if it's all just absolute bollocks or whatever the stuff is. These are all the different things. So you're saying apparently our recruitment isn't based on data. It's based on agent recommendations. There's been multiple lists put forward, apparently, to the club. Whether that get to Brendan and the recruitment team, who knows? Then you've got people saying there's a power struggle at the club between Brendan and the Lawwells. So there's a whole bunch of things here going on. If all that is true, if it's true, great. If it's not true, and it's just like as Andrew's saying, Rodgers seems to be leaving it to the scouting department rather than Andrew's getting involved, for instance. Cool, could be that. But it could be some of those rumors and things that people are putting out there. They could actually be true. I'm just rattling off a few things there. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating to see. And then you've got this bloke, this is the summary of that as well. Like one of the other ones I saw was word on the street, Brendan Rodgers has walked away again due to not being backed in the transfer window. Peter and Mark Lawwell, the main culprits. This is from @Goose1167. There you go. I've put him out on Twitter for you. And then someone goes, "Is that paranoia?" He goes, "I got a WhatsApp message from a good source." This is all these in the know people just saying this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just an absolute, shambles at the moment. There's that word again, but who knows what's going on? But we've got to be better as a club. We've got to be better.
I think we've got to make sure the Sydney Van Hooijdonk deal goes through, though. That's the one thing I want to see happen before this window ends, because we've just got to keep that Australian connection going, right?
Sydney, and the club will love it. Peter Lawwell will love it because all the extra letters you have to buy to get his
it's
name.
a huge name.
It's a huge name.
I forgot about that, actually.
I'm setting you up, Liam. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, so realistically, I think we'll kind of wrap the pod up there. We could go on for another couple of hours quite comfortably, I reckon. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the podcast around, recommend us to your friends, help us grow the channel. If you like the merch, both me and Shane are wearing the Celtic Down Under t-shirts with those hoodies as well. They're available at our website, celticdownunder.com. What we'll do is we will go to our final thoughts. So, Johnny, you got a music recommendation as usual or something else?
Well, not really music, but music related. I was watching the Woodstock 99 documentary this week.
Yeah,
absolutely phenomenal. If anyone's got Netflix and they've got a couple of hours to kill, that is some hell of a story. I was too young to remember it even happening, so yeah, it's good to see it. It's good. I like the it's when we were that age, your video recordings looked the most HD. You look back on it now and it's like, did we just use like tin cans and like the light of the sun or something? But yeah. No, it's a great documentary. Give it a go.
Shane, you got a final thought?
Yep. Started with hoops. I'm going to close it out with hoops. Shout out to Paddy Mills, who was the recipient of the inaugural Embassy of Australia Award. Paddy Mills is genuinely a modern day hero. He's an icon, a sporting icon in Australia. He does so much for the community, and he does so much of it without sort of getting a lot of attention or focus. He really is a modern day hero. So shout out to you, Paddy. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'll go with a quote that I saw off one of my old basketball coaches back in the day, because I read it down. I'm like, there's some good shit here. So it's, don't be out of control, be out of people's control. And I think with the way things are going with the club at the moment, and we're all getting angry and we're all getting agitated or whatever, don't be out of control. Take a step back, relax, and just let it happen and support the boys. That's my thoughts on that. And Liam, you got a final thought?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an effective one here. Like I've been reading the news recently, and I like my films, and I heard that Alec Baldwin might be going to trial, and I just want to make it clear right now, I am behind Alec Baldwin. There's no fucking way I'm standing in front of him.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Hell.